local city councillor down here, hence we hand up Fiona, so who knows who you are. So she's the person who answers afterwards the questions that you have answered. That's why they pay the big bucks. We also have council staff here and lots of different contractors and things like that. So we'll have a presentation by Thomas and HEB, the contractors, Luke to talk about the clarifier, repair works update, and then Adam to operate so yes, but if you do not have all your questions answered, please make sure that you talk to somebody and that note it down. You want to make sure that we answer your questions and that the council is a better neighbour than maybe we have been in the past. The other thing to remember is that this is being recorded. The audio is being recorded, so no video. But if you want to come back and listen to it online, you'll be able to do that. And the presentation will also be online, so share it with people who you know. Right. Do you have any questions in terms of the process? Well, okay, then I'll hand over to Maureen, who's part of our community governance.
Yes, I'll just do the quick housekeeping. If anyone needs the toilet, you just walk down to the guitars and take a left. The toilets are down there. There's first aid kit is in behind reception if anyone is, hopefully nobody needs first aid from tonight. If we need to evacuate, we've got fire exit here and fire exits through there. We'll meet over at the big green bin on the far end of the car park, and we'll just all congregate there until we know what the situation is. If anyone hasn't signed in, if you could just write your name on the sheet, purely just so we know how many people we've got to count in and out, should we need to get out of the building as well. But outside of that, yeah, there's nothing else in terms of housekeeping, so I'll hand over to Thomas. Perfect.
Rory. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming today. My name is Thomas. I'm the senior project manager for the Activist Slush Plan. And yeah, thank you for coming. Really greatly appreciate that you come and listen to us. Let's start. Now, today's my agenda is will present about the Activist Slush Plan. Then Luke, my colleague, will give an update on the clarifier works. And on the end, Adam will give an update on the operation side. Does if you have any questions, yes, you can ask during the presentation, but yeah, might better off just wait until my presentation is finished, then ask us any questions that you might have. Now, as you know, we have now our contractor awarded, and also we established a team who are actually managing the project on site over the next 3 years. And it's great to see that we have a fantastic team that will deliver a project for us, all that will be for a generation to come, and actually a legacy, leaving a legacy behind there. You can see we got HEB, our contractor, we got ACOM, who's a designer and will be still involved in the background to help us to answer questions. We got Becker, Steve from PLC as well. And he will do the construction management, monitoring and administration on site. And we got also Bond CM who are doing a quantity survey in the background just to ensure that we staying in budget on the project. Now, there was a question around what is actually an Activist Slush Plant. Now, a wastewater treatment plant, and Alan can answer that much better than me. But wastewater treatment plant is quite a complex system. It means you got your primary system that actually taking all the grid and the nitty-gritty stuff out there. It also has a primary settle tanks that takes bed and that kind of stuff out there. And then we come to the secondary treatment that is with the Activist Slush Plant. The drinking filter that burned down a few years ago, that was a part of the secondary treatment step as well of the wastewater. On the end, what we are doing, we just replacing the drinking filter with a newer technology. It's not the newest, but it is quite a new technology, and it's quite common in the world. It is not something unknown. It is used everywhere around the world. Now, what happened is pre-treated wastewater that comes from the primary treatment goes through the secondary treatment plant. what we do is actually we give wastewater good environment. We're pumping a lot of air into that wastewater and seeding the wastewater with some bugs. It's like when you're doing sourdough at home, like a bread, you're actually taking some culture and starting the process. That is what we can see. That takes a few hours, and the bugs start to grow and really eating the other bacteria that are coming from us, from the wastewater, and multiplying that. Once that is done, that step, then that gets discharged to our therapies, and it's a cherry treatment, and as well the sludge starts to settle down on the floor, and the sludge gets returned back to the actual sludge plant, and starts with this already long enough in the system, gets taken out and taken to the sludge handling facility, where we making compost and also biogas that actually runs our generators. From the clarifiers, the treated water gets blown to the ponds, then that gets treated by the sunlight or UV treatment before it gets discharged to the ocean. Now, you're wondering, as you heard quite a few times, we have a temporary active sludge plant currently that operates on site after the fire. You think, what is the difference between that and that what we got at the moment, the temporary sludge plant? It's actually just purely of the size. This plant is purposely designed and will be constructed to treat all wastewater. I mean, all liquid stream can go through that process. It is optimized to treat the wastewater optimal and ensure that can be meet all the standards that we need to meet from a resource consenting perspective. That means currently the temporary active sludge plant just can treat things at 70% of the wastewater, and 30% have to be unfortunately directly on. That's also has such and that is what usually the small generates fish that goes really bad, but that is what we can avoid. With that, we will treat all wastewater through that plant. So I think last time we met it was 6 or 7 months ago. Since we have done quite a lot, that doesn't look like it. We saw that quickly got demolished. That we achieved it by end of March, April. And since we have been busy in the background to get the design completed, that takes quite a bit of time for the complex design, and AECOM did a good job to get it done. And all the final details has been established. Also, as I mentioned, we've gone through the tender process. We've gone through 3 contractors and awarded as a contractor head. And as just happened a few weeks ago, great to have them on board. And yeah, as I said, also AECOM converted those drawings and specifications that are done for the design in a way that can be actually now to the head. They're actually to construct a plant over the next few years. Now, what is coming up? Now, what you will see over the next year in January is actually the site handover. We're handing over that piece of land that the drinking filter was on to HED, and that is when they start to setting everything up for construction. Then the first thing what you will see in the beginning, end of January, and actually early January, is actually the setup of the construction village. That will be actually placed on, actually right beside the boundary, where you saw that a yard that was quite empty now for the last couple of months, 2-3 months, where we have done a big tidy up. That is where the village will be placed. And also then, by end of January, we will start the earthworks, where we're taking a lot of soil away from the site and start to install the piles. That will take approximately 6 months before we actually see any activity happen on site with concrete going in that. One thing, what happened there is just a lot of piles going into the ground. I think how many piles are going in there? 1,200 something?
320. Sorry.
Yeah, it's got 1,400 piles. That is a lot of piles. 20 kilometers of piles, I think. That's just quite a lot. But Sam will talk a little bit more about that. Then, as I said, the construction will continue then through 27. There's a lot of things happening during that. And then we will start commissioning by end of 27 through 28 of the new plant. And then we will start the transition from the temporary plant to the new plant, 1829. As there's quite a bit of work required, we need to decommission the temporary plant, reinstating the old, the clarifiers again in full capacity, and ensure everything is going as intended. As you can see, there's a little bit of timeline. That is where we stand at the moment. At the moment, you see at the moment that says May 29, but you have to consider it will actually for the proportion completion that the contract is finished. That is by somewhere in March 28, April 28, something around that. That means we are well on target as we have been forecasting. Also, what we will do, or what Steve is doing for us, will give us a forecast of work over the next 5 weeks. That is what will happen over the next 5 weeks in January. That is a good breakdown, and that will also indicate what impact it might have on the neighbors in the community. As we can see, the first week of January, we will start the survey around Shortland Street. That will come around, and so we'll take pictures of your houses inside and outside. Just to take any pictures that might have cracked, that kind of stuff, or any damage. That when we starting the work and finishing the work, that we have, everyone is on the same agreement that has been already there, and that it might occur during the construction. That gives us a clear picture and a clear baseline.
Excuse me, sir, are you saying that the gas is going to vibrate to
No.
2028?
So that we set that up as just a precautionary. That means Simon will talk a little bit more about that, the parting and what we are doing. We're putting vibration monitoring in and noise monitoring. We know there will be, we're quite really confident there will be a very, very little vibration coming to your side, but that we will monitor. We have guidelines when we actually say, hold on, that is getting too much, or we need to do some other controls. But there will be minimal, actually, but
It's minimal to you, it's not minimal to us when you're in big feeds.
yes,
And this is the whole point. And the other thing that worries me is that 2028 before we get rid of the smell as well.
but yeah, we have to construct a plant that takes us a big construction and takes a little bit of time to build. We can't just construct it very quickly. I understand the concerns, and we will really monitor and be doing the job, letter drop next week, and I will also go around door to door next week as well to just talk about the neighbors and listen about the concerns. But as I said, we need to get the work done, and that is what is required to build the plant.
It's a hell of a long time to replace that. So
That is actually very quick from a construction perspective, but so yeah, I can understand for you guys, it seems a long period. I understand that there will be disruption, but yeah, unfortunately, we have to do that work to get that replaced. And as I said, we keep you guys informed. We have certain time limits where we're working. Will be periods of time that we have to might start earlier or work longer, but you will get plenty of notice and a warning when that will happen.
it's no good sending us a notice now to tell us what's going to happen in 2028. I mean, it's ridiculous.
People-
Keep the pamphlets there.
No, we will, over the project, we will come out there and we'll have a chat with you guys, giving that template. As we see something coming up over the next 5 weeks or 6 weeks, we will go out there and give you an update. As we want to make sure that you know as much as we know, that you can get ready and prepared. But we envisage not very much, yes, as that I can't say there's no impact, but we keep it as minimal as possible.
See, the thing is, so you're doing the job, you're the ones that pay the price for vibration and smell and the noise. And I mean, Shortland Street, well, it's just over the big fence that works. And of course, the ones are just across the road. So we're right in the middle of that serving. It just seems a hell of a long time. 2026 or 28.
Yes.
So maybe we should bring our insurance companies just in case there is any damage in things.
And yeah, so that's why we're doing that depletion survey, that just ensure if we identify anything, then we can deal with that.
I understand what you're saying, so it's got to be done. I think the council and community board should start thinking about the residents along that street. And I mean, especially when we're up your end, just over the back fence. I mean,
Yes.
we're on the back section, so we feel it all the time. And this is what we want to be worried of. We want to be notified if we start with number 7 the next day, we will know about it.
Yes, give you as much as possible notice as we are well aware of that we want to keep you informed as much as we can.
Besides, we don't do it in computers.
Yes.
So, telephone would be,
Yeah.
it'd be good if you could recognise what we're going through.
But I do think, as I said to you, Jen, I do think there's another, a separate conversation to have about how the council works with the immediate neighbours who are most affected by it works. And I don't think we have the right people of the council here at the moment to address it, but I know that the wastewater treatment plant, that the poor response to it weighs heavily on the CEO of the council, Richardson. And so there is I think we need to talk about this. But I don't think Rob Thomas is going to be able to.
No leave them alone.
Yeah. But thank you.
Thank you. The other thing is, right,
Is that we will set up the village in January. This will be, I think, by January will be ready to be operational. And as I said, by the end of January, we will get the earthwork underway. So quite a few trucks coming in and out. And the people just see how things go. Yeah, we will have always an open line for you guys. If there's any concerns, it will be our phone numbers and that kind of stuff available. That's what we will make sure. This is a major arms behind you. You know that we need to look after you.
sorry to interrupt.
Thank you. I hand over to Simon to go ahead and
Okay, so to introduce myself, I'm Simon Potts, so I'm the project manager who's going to be responsible for overseeing construction of the new sludge plant. So, yeah, I'm the base that you'll see throughout the construction anyway. So, Thomas has already sort of kind of explained what's coming up next, but we've got a couple of slides.
Yep.
Yeah, to explain things in a bit more detail. So, as Thomas said, the first thing is we are going to be setting up to that early part of January. And then that last week of January, we're going to start preparing the site. So, if you can imagine, this is the site as it is at the moment. We're going to be doing a bit of earthworks in preparation for the ground improvement, and the ground improvement method of choice here is vibro stone columns. So if you're familiar with them, but basically it's a board pile that is then sort of reinforced with aggregates. So it basically provides a good foundation and consolidation of the ground in order to provide a good foundation for the structure that's going to be built on it. So those vibro stone columns, that's what's kind of happening here. We're going to have a couple of piling rings that are going to be working on the site. So there's going to be 2 piling rings in there. Like Jerome mentioned before, we've got 1,400 columns to put in the ground. So those 2 rigs will work in tandem across the site, installing these columns. The columns are going down 16.5 meters into the ground. So it will be sort of pre-bored, then filled with the aggregate and vibrated into place. So that vibration will consolidate the aggregate and the ground around it. Whilst we're doing that, we will be noise monitoring and vibration monitoring on the boundary. So the nearest boundary or residential boundary being Shortland Street. So we'll have sort of trigger levels. So we'll be monitoring that. So the modelling kind of indicates you will hear it, and you will feel it, but it's going to be likened to a truck driving past your house. So the vibration is going to be very minimal, but yeah, there may be the little shakes of the picture frames, and you will hear it, but it's it's like a low level noise that by the time it's through to you. Next one.
How far is the vibration likely to travel?
So I'm predicting over the 116 metres to the fence line, the nearest property, it'd be should be about 0.05 millimetres per second. So it's very hard to visualise what half a mil vibration looks like, but you can imagine a 10 centimetre ruler, 10 centimetre ruler with a mil, that's kind of the amount of displacement, or half of that.
How frequent, is it vibrations? How frequent?
It will be, I guess, the duration of the project. So as long as we're installing coils.
It's over the 3 month period that we'll be installing the stone farms.
So not necessarily the frequency of the vibration.
So the frequency of the machine at startup you'll feel, and the machine actually operates at a frequency much higher than the resonant frequency of your soil. So it's really only the startup of the rig that you may feel something, and then it goes away. So most, it's a bit technical, but a lot of the consolidation of that soil happens of about 50 to 60 hertz.
So unlikely to notice much.
No, the machine doesn't operate at the natural frequency of the soil, but it does travel through that range at the start. So that's kind of what we have to say. You may feel it, but the intent is that for most of it, just be hearing units that should be operating above the frequency of soil.
So just for notes, this is a key concern of the community. Just in case not everybody heard this, should only really feel the pile, the noise of the pile when the machine is starting up.
To give you a bit of an idea, our limit is about 2 millimetres per second for buildings. That's when you start seeing structural cracking in that. And we're predicting to be kind of 10 times less than that. But that's kind of what modelling suggests. I think, everything looks good in theory, but and we do have to monitor, and we are triggering levels above that. And we as a team will discuss it with council and with.
It's for you monitor the machine. It's like a computer.
Yeah.
And I mean, computer's not human. No, I think it's not a certain computer doesn't feel vibrations like a human being doesn't because
You appreciate that.
it's just what I'm saying. You can monitor the numbers and everything. So but it doesn't mean that it's less than the end of the last. So we need someone that we can join that so we can don't rely on machines. So someone should buy there. So there.
I think there'll be means for
Okay, we'll sort that out.
communication.
Okay, so this is kind of a really good visual, what to expect over the coming months anyway. So, Shortland Street here, this is our instruction to leave, like Thomas mentioned, it's going to be in that sort of compound area that just backs onto your boundary there. And then the construction zone, so that's where all the activity happens. Construction zone, that's where the new sludge plant is going to be constructed. So yeah, we go in, first thing is the earthworks, then the ground improvement, then around June, July, and that's when you'll start seeing something coming up out of the ground. So that's when the concrete structure is going to start taking shape. So it's kind of picturing representing the base slabs and the walls that are going to start to appear up out of the ground. So that's going to be the middle of the year. That will start, and then it'll be middle of following year, so middle of 27 before that construction is complete, and we start commissioning the plant. So let's go.
Thanks. Just play that. You happy to play it, Thomas? Do you want me just to play the video?
Oh, sorry, it's not the sequence here that I can probably narrate this as it sort of happens anyway. So it's the construction area again, over the street over the back here. This is just a bit of a representation of the program as it's going to happen. So the first thing that's happening, so the end of January, we've got the earthworks, and then that will be a lot of cut to waste. Following in from that, these are the stone columns that are going to be installed. So that's the 1,400 stone columns. That will be the ground improvement. And then once we've got the ground improvement in place, we can start building the structure. So this is the base slabs for the structure and the walls going up. So that's the concrete walls. So those walls are sort of 800 to 600 thick. So there's a big concrete structure, 8 meters high, these walls. Big tank. This next one here is once we get to a point of the ground improvement around April, we're going to be installing some of the new pipe works. So there's an effluent pipe work and then a sludge pipe, and that's what's represented here. So those pipes are going to be installed. So that's around April, May time. Quick. And then that all ties in to the other part of the work. So this is the sludge pump station. Hopefully we can build it quick. And then, to the sort of north side of the building, that's where the mechanical part of the plant is going to be constructed. So this is the new lower building. That's going to be a concrete tilt slab building that go up pretty quickly. So that sits side of the plant. And then once we've got that structure complete, which is sort of the early part of 27, we'll start doing all the mechanical fit out. So that's where we put all the aeration pipework and diffusers and everything into the tank, which is what diffusers process that's gone through that Thomas talked to before.
Oh, is it the same one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
So the end of our presentation for the project. So any questions as Sam and myself, and also the team are willing to take some questions if you guys have. But I'm pretty sure the project questions coming out later, but you're always here and we'll answer as much as we can. Questions.
Well, you've been working with 5, 6 or 7 days a week to build this.
Yeah, so we'll be working 6 days a week. So that'll be Monday through Saturday.
And the earliest start time you'll be on site?
We start with works at 7. The guys will turn up a little bit before that physical works. So.
Thank you for the presentation. Is there any other noise that you're expecting? Like I live next to the container yard in Coastal, and it's not just the vibration of the containers being dropped, but it's the beeping of the machinery, it's the engine whirs. It's actually, I think one person came to council last week and said it was like a torture. So just trying to understand what other noises can people expect from this site through construction, and how do they mitigate it or manage?
Yeah, so you will have a large number of truck movements that will be coming in and out of the site. So during the earthworks, expecting about 30 trucks to be coming in and out each day.
Maybe coming off Comfortable Drive.
Yeah, so all the site entry into that construction area is off Comfortable Road. Yeah.
So yes, you will have, first and beepers and everything like that. So during the day, obviously that's a sort of safety thing. So you can hear those if you do already. During the, something that actually can't mitigate, but that would be during the hours of 7 to 6 during the working day.
Why do you have to have such long days, Sue? Something you do.
It's not you. Reply to the question.
Long day. It's almost 12 hours.
Yes, our working days typically 7:30 to about 5:30, but we do, depending on the activities that we're doing, work through till 6. The other question goes back to issues with communication. So the past work that's been happening, like people were told a certain time frame for vibrations and then works were supposed to be finished and when it finished and then they came back later and there was more vibration, even though people were told the vibration finished. Just in terms of the communication, how often can residents expect to get a works notice update on what work is happening? Okay, you're looking at like weekly communication with residents, fortnightly, monthly. Is there any sort of comfort that residents can have that they know what's going to be anticipated in the upcoming work?
If it's really required, we can do that weekly, as myself, Simon, and the team is actually, Steve will be based actually on site. We actually have an office, we will stay in that office, and if we say a need, we can do that on a weekly basis. But as we assess it, as we're going through that construction to see how things go, as it's just around the corner, we will catch up with.
With those notifications, there'll be, little or as much as needed really to keep you informed of what's going on. And Russell's our sort of stakeholder manager, so working very closely as a construction team, sort of keep you informed. It's happening out there, and when something unusual or different is going to be happening, that's when we will inform you. Make sure we inform you in time as well. So.
If you find that noise levels are unacceptable for neighbours, will you be looking at setting up a temporary sound barrier between work site and the neighbours?
Yeah, so that's where all the monitoring comes in. So we've got monitoring stations on the boundaries, and we've got limits to work to. So if those limits were exceeded, then we have to put mitigation measures in place to reduce that down to an acceptable level. So if we exceed it, then yes, we will be doing something.
And how many times will you exceed it? So it's the
Well, this is continuous monitoring, isn't it? So the exceedances we know about. Do something as soon as there's an exceedance. Sorry, I just have one question. There's no talk of dust. Have you done any assessment around the dust? So the whole thing of so key concerns during the construction, there's going to be the noise, vibration, dust. All of those and the truck and vehicle movements. All of those will sort of mitigate it. So in terms of the dust, the site is currently stabilised. During the construction, we'll keep it as stabilised as we can. We've obviously got to do bulk earthworks. We're digging into the sand, but we'll be putting mitigation measures in place. Controls, use of water guards, speed restrictions on the site, so we're not creating any airborne dust. We will be controlling that all the way through.
Well, if you dust monitoring or fences for the residents so they can sure.
There is not a plan for dust monitoring at the moment, so that's something that is visible on the site, so when we see visible dust, yeah, that's when we know we really need to do something to put those mitigation measures in place, but we'll have regards there and things, so, and like I say, the site itself will be stabilised as much as we can, so that will keep the dust down. So that's, yeah, a big key concern all the way through that vibrational dust.
My next question is, with the increased volume of going customers, will you have trucks being diverted to River Road and going around the River Road that way, or going up to Anzac and going around the River Road that way? Because having it going to River Road, it's driving the vehicles away from residential zones and going around the River Road keeps it peaceful for the residents here.
That's something that we can look at. Yeah. The vehicle movements, we've just engaged our earthworks contractor, so we're working through things with them now. So, yeah, we'll look at that sort of vehicle movement planning site and off-site.
So where's all the earthworks that you've got the trucks, where's all that being shipped to?
Disposal site.
Where's those as where?
Not one yet.
That valley was in the road, it's contaminated. So. Yeah.
Claims where there's the claims.
So you probably go down and say drive to go get by the and cut and throw short straight.
All of it, it's probably something we can assess. So if you're,
That's something we can make it now, which really.
And what's happening, like, I'm on short street boundary, so over my back fences, they, take my back fence and then it's wire fence through the door and campsite things, and other sort of website's gonna be, it's all that, that nursery, plant nursery, is that all going to be down?
No, that stays.
So,
That stays.
I don't know. Yes.
It's not ours. That
Well,
is,
that's not your property.
no, I mean, it's not actually the council. That's actually,
David's.
yeah, that's, I think the council, offers it land for the native planting for nursery, community thing. And it is, we have been asked to keep it.
So there's no solution to any of this, we're going to. Some vibration, the smell, the dust, every day, basically, a year and a half.
But there's all those mitigations agents that will be put in place to minimise that.
Yeah, actually, that's so, I mean, nobody seems to put themselves where we are in Chiltern Street. I mean, I know you can't feel vibrations in my house because you're digging over there. And I think it's very difficult for us to actually explain what's happening to us. The houses we've got, and this is why I'm wondering whether we should contact the insurance companies first, in case there's a crack in the wall, so, because we don't know.
Yeah, so Thomas briefly mentioned before, as part of the sort of pre-work before, really get stuck into that ground improvement work, we will do those building surveys. So those building surveys will be undertaken, and they will be, a copy of those surveys will be given to you as for your record anyway. So they will identify any defects in the building or the structure.
Yes, but
Right,
you can identify your reading the words there, prepare us identify theirs. And the one for papers and move on something.
Sorry, don't.
I mean, you can identify what you're doing over the back,
Yes.
but we can't identify what's happening over the front. If I could jump the fence, I'd be doing it with data challenging way. But it's just going to work, George.
That's right.
But I mean, you know, sending pamphlets out, so that's fine. But I think maybe we need to find out or something. So go and check on it.
But this is something that will work with you. And yeah, well, we're having this meeting today, and then we'll have meetings in the future. And as we sort of get set up on site, you know, more than welcome to come over and see us anyway. So, and I'm sure the invite will be there.
Trouble is we can't get in the gates because we haven't got a card.
No, so the construction village is sort of separate from the actual operational site itself. So, yeah, as part of those early, works, we actually take control of that side of the site. So we'll segregate ourselves with fencing, and that'll be under our control, and our access into the construction village is on Cutlass Road. So that gate will be open, so
The gates open.
They're going to provide information to, and they can contact you where they can come and see you there.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure you will.
Well, you'll hear from us and do it.
But like I say, you're more than welcome to, yeah, you'll have our phone numbers. Yeah.
So we can come over and supervise.
We can check that.
I'll just mention quickly, I think the aim of the team will try to be as good a possible neighbour as we can be. Bearing in mind that the job has to be done. And I'm sure everybody appreciates that. And there will be times where you might get annoyed. We understand that, and I've worked on projects before. And I think that the team, the whole team are conscious of we need to keep people informed of what's going to happen. Worst thing is something happening that's a surprise to any of the boat residents. We don't want that. We want to be able to tell you in advance tomorrow we'll be doing this. It won't be every day we'll be telling you because a lot of days will be rinse and repeat as we go through. But then there will be times when we might say, tomorrow we might have to start a little bit earlier because of X, Y, Z. But the key is that we tell you that, so you don't need to be ringing us up and going, why are you doing this? And when you come and visit, we want you to bring some nothing. It's fun. It's so, you know, we want to be as good a neighbour as possible. And when we're doing our inductions for our team, key for me is that we'll be telling people, when you come to work and you're working on site, think of your favourite auntie living across the fence. So that's the key for us.
We'll just have to have an open to see time, I suppose.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, as well as muffins, we do a good barbecue.
Oh.
That's a good muffin though.
That's what I have to prove.
Now, there's a good question there. So at peak of construction, we could be not. But yeah, if you come in early, the lighting be around sort of dozens of 20 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm a little surprised.
There's not too much damage to the houses, because I've had my house repaired twice from the earthquake damage.
Yeah, well, and then, again, that's why we need to come in, do those surveys just to make sure.
The idea of the monitoring that they want to do is the threshold is set for that monitoring.
the professional engineers, they said those vibrational that so should result in damage. And it's not been said that the damage threshold is set and it's okay. So we're not expecting we do the monitoring and then it'll go right. We need to perform the works under that angle. And that monitoring set up so that we don't get in a situation of damage. And we shouldn't be in a situation where it's annoying enough to be complaining. That's why we do the monitoring. And if the monitoring showing that we're always exceeding that, then we've got to go back and get it changed the way we do it. And it's the same with the sound. We've got a machine on site that's constantly making turbulent noise. We either put a shield over the things creating the sound, or we turn it the other way, or we put a sound barrier in it so that it doesn't continue making that noise. We will figure out a way to make sure it's under the limits that we've got to achieve by the rules that are set by the exhaust standards. So,
Well, we know, you understand.
well, we'll be as well. We will send it because we were recording that information.
But you might be looking at the machine at it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of junk things.
Yeah.
With the point of we might put a gate in the fence for you, so you can get easy range.
That'd be nice, you want.
At least as many as like.
Thanks for answering my questions, you managed to share.
So I will hand over to Luke now.
Thanks.
Luke, I'm the project manager for the Clarify 4 repair works that we're doing out there at the plants. Next slide. You probably may have noticed that this rig has been set up for a few months. Yeah, so what we do and what we have been doing, and the reason for the project is Clarify 4 has a drive, so the mechanism that operates the clarifier arms has got some damage to it, and has had some damage now. And it's still working, which is great, but as a result of the damage, we know we've got to get in and repair it. Going in there to repair it is a bit of an extended process, and the reason for that is to repair the work, repair the damage. We need to dewater the inside of the clarifier, so we need to take it offline from the process and then get in there and do the work. But in order to do that, we need to dewater around it, because if we don't, the clarifier will pop out of the ground usually, and we'll take it offline. It'll be a significant issue for council. We've got 4 clarifiers, which is good, but 2 of them are currently it's aeration tanks as a result of trickling fire. So what our original clarifying capacity was of 100% is down to 50% because clarifiers 3 and 4 are doing the work, and clarifiers 1 and 2 are doing the different process. When we do our works, we need to take it offline, which means the clarifying capacity is down significantly to only 1 clarifier doing the works, which is going to potentially result in some odor. As a result of that, there's less sediment dropping out. I don't know if anyone noticed around about March this year, we did some early works for the project where we actually took Clarify 4 offline, dropped the levels slightly, not fully, and did some repairs of a lot of the channels leaking. That would have resulted, and I think there was a bit of odour that came out as a result of that. I don't know if anyone noticed it. If not, fantastic. And then we did the same to Clarify. So we've done a little bit of work out there at the moment. More recently, what we've determined is in order to make the dewatering faster and less risky, we've determined that we put a cut-off wall around the clarifiers, which means we can get in there as fast as we can effectively, and also protect the other structures from things like sediment we spoke about as well.
So in order to do our best design, we've had the rig out there doing some trials of different mixed designs to make sure that the ground that we've got there is going to be sort of mixed and create the best cover we can. It actually injects cement into the ground, 12 metres deep, and then comes back up and it's about 600 wide. So that trial is completed now, and put in the best design that's going to do the best at the purpose. And we're about to award a contract to the same contractor to build this all the way around. Where we've got services, we can't put that big rig up there because it's quite a chunky machine. We've got a second technology where we inject ground. It's pretty straightforward. I don't know if anyone's noticed any issues over the past, or noise or vibration, or whether you shouldn't have noticed anything out there.
I think you had the noise with that machine.
Yeah, and so that machine, when we get going again, we'll do something similar, and that'll be going for a period of about 4 months. It takes a bit of time to go all the way around. If there is any issues with it, there's nothing. Yeah, it'll be a small crew. There'll probably only be a couple dozen people out on site at the time. Once we do finish constructing this wall, we're going to put some dewatering around clarifier 4. So just big space when you're going to suck the water out. Then we will take it offline and take the water out from the inside, and then start doing mechanical repairs. That is probably a period when you may notice motor, similar to where we were around about March this year. I think what Jacob's doing the odor management training as well. So that's another thing monitoring thing that we do to try and identify when there's an issue. We'll notice it, the notice is pretty quick, so that's what we can pick up faster than anything. But we can just quantify that and sort of see the trends and things like that. Next slide. This is a bit more detail of what this big machine does. It just effectively, we locate our services, then we send the machine there, cuts in there and injects, and then it just sort of repeats that. And does that for about 4 months. Pretty straightforward. Nothing too exciting, not as cool as the sludge plant, activated sludge plant, but it's still going to provide us some good risk management, so we can protect our facilities out there. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. From a timing perspective, we plan on getting started in January. Probably do the dewatering. Hopefully, if things go smoothly, we'll start in March. If not, we'll do that a bit later, April to May. The works to prepare and site clarifier. We haven't inspected it for about 15 years, so I'm not 100% sure exactly how much work we need to do on that, but we're estimating probably about 6 to 8 weeks of work to get that clarifier, and then we put it all back together and fill it back up and put it back into service. And then there will be a similar process for clarifier 3 as well at a later date.
So refreshing those units, is that going to take the smell away?
What it'll do, it'll help the efficiency of the machines, the clarifiers. Eventually, when the activated sludge plant is back in action, when it's operating, the other 2 clarifiers that were converted to aeration basins, they will be converted to clarifiers, and that should help double our clarifying capacity. Should help the odor issues.
So we'll be it's calm.
Yeah, it's still.
So it's still even. That's all.
Yeah.
This episode went to start.
Yeah, it's beneficial counter-movements. So I think part of the reason for the activated sludge plant and this clarifier works is to get that process better than just triple supply. Any other questions before I head over to Adam?
Thank you very much. My name's Sue, I'm plant manager. What I'm just going to briefly run over is some of the activities that have been here since our last meeting. So, councillors on the community board, you will see some of this already. This is from the last meeting that we had here. Well, just again. So we still have the 5 community monitoring sites that are spread around. So this is where we monitor hydrogen sulfide community. Hydrogen can be detected by human nerves are very, very unlike also we use that as the indicator as to where the odours are and how strong they are. Take the information from all those, we collect, collect it manually, and before night we take it, we analyse it, and available on our website. We also look at the data to see if there's any way we can optimise and tweak the site so you can reduce the odours. You're aware that we've got 16 aerators with a point 1, secret, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 16 on pond 1, which is a lot of heavy lifting for us. What we discovered last year was that pond 2 was also struggling at times as well. So what we've done is we have bought 3 more of these big disc aerators. So they spin and they move the flow around and also reduce oxygen into that. So just trying to properly oxygen level up, give it a bit of circulation to try and reduce the odours from there. So 2 are going to be installed in December and 1 is January. So just in context, CWTP here and short distributors up here. So it's this one that on. The pond health, as you're well aware, the health of the ponds varies over the time of year. The majority of the time they're operating reasonably well, but other times of the year they have those struggles and generate their own. Staff around there doing lots of different types of tests and checks on those, and that information that comes in allows us to make decisions on how to try and operate the plants as best we can. So, sequence of 4 photographs here taken in March, which was just mentioned. So, photograph taken in March, in May, in June, and July, and we do use colour as one of the indicators because it's quite well as John already noticed. So, as Lou said, during March, we had secondary activated sludge plant down at our capacity, put quite a bit of load into pond 1. And then as the seasons changed, went into winter, you can see that pond 2 changed from a nice black to a real murky grey, and that's when it generated quite a bit of odours. And you can see in June, July, it took a while to get better. Hence the decision to invest in those additional operators to get there. The other thing as well is the ponds are a biological process. They vary with time, duration, seasons, load, flow. Sometimes I just get a bit interested. This is one of the discharge chambers, and as you can see, the biology has got a little bit funky. It starts causing these massive foams. It is natural, it's not detergents or anything that people have put through. It's just part of the complex biology of what's going on in the ponds. Obviously, the ponds are they hold quite a lot of bird life. So we've been working with parks a lot over the past 4 years. So we do have some reports of people saying about burn fluctuates on the pond depending on the time of the year where the food is and stuff like that. So we are working with parks on that. They've not noticed any significant concerns. And basically, any geese up there just a bit of a place. So you flush your toilet, there's paper and paper and anything else that comes down, particularly in high flows. Pond algae transfer pump. So as you may have seen over the summer in particular, the ponds go a bit to green. This again is purely natural biological process. So if it's green, it's good because there's lots of algae there. There's growing nurture, which lots of oxygen to the pond, which is doing quite a bit of the biological for us. So as you can see here, pond 4 when it comes in, it's a sort of real light green. By the time it goes all the way through and comes to pond 2, it's a real dark green. So this is low algae, that's high algae. So algae doesn't swim against the colour particularly well, so we just try and give it a boost. So we put this algae transfer pump in pond 2, just a bit, a tiny proportion of flow, some of that algae to flow into the head of pond 1, and just acts like a seed and tries to encourage the algae to grow as much as possible. Pond sludge surveys. So over time, ponds are big settlement tanks. So the ponds are there, one of the reasons is to kill the E. coli that comes through the sewage treatment plant before it goes out to the sea, so we have limits that we have to get below for E. coli, the ponds do that for us. One of those methods of natural radiation is natural sedimentation. So over time, the ponds are sludge. With the loss of trickling filters, we have been putting a lot of sludge in there, so we're very conscious of that. We do a lot of sludge monitoring to make sure that sludge levels don't build up too much. So you may have seen it. We've got a number of staff that take the interns to go out there with the jet. You can see them going around. So driving around, and then they'll start the great ones. Big pond, stick it down, and grab a sample. So you can do some analysis in the field. You also set up. So not quite a lot of analysis going on. Midge control. We do a number of midge control techniques. So we vary the water quality through the ponds. One of the other ones that we do is midge stretch. So again, we use the same boat, drive it around. I see it in there. It holds great big floats across the back of it. Big bar, it floats a whole chains that hang down with real big cords on it. We drag those chains through the sludge at the bottom of the pond. So part of the midge sequence is the eggs get laid on the top of the water, you go in, you stay in the sludge for a little bit, you come up to the worm, hang around in the water, come up, grow a bit bigger, and then you go back into the sludge and you get to the chrysalis stage. So the larvae, they come to the surface, climb up. So what we do with the midge stretch is we drag the chains around, those cable ties on it, it disturbs it, it cuts the larvae up, it causes them to be buried and stays controls them that way. So we do that across ponds 1 and 2. We didn't do it last year because we had a concern that it was going to generate significant tone. Because what we thought was going to happen, you can just see it in this image. So you can see that the boat has previously just tracked around here. And as it goes around, you can see where it's brought some of that justice. So with all my staff going around collecting lots of data, analyse and help, are they healthy enough so that menstruations go around? So too much sludge on the surface, no significant tone. So as you can see here, in both cases, it's looking pretty clear and bright. It's nice and green. So I've got confidence we can get the mid stretch out there, try and knock those midge numbers down without generating. Midge monitoring, again, staff around there, checking midge traps that we've got. So we've got 2 types of midge traps, as I mentioned before. Midges come up to the surface, try and take them off and fly away, basically just start floating the hood. That big by that big, also you've got pyramid. Midges come up, come into it, come down and climb to the top. At the top of the little pyramid is a sticky piece of paper which they map on. Or you may see it at night, sometimes you see the lights because they've got solid lights on, got the sticky pads on there, then light traps them, just like that. Start to go around, collect the sticky pads, and they count the number of pictures that's on there. So what we've managed to do is to try with artificial intelligence. We still have to go around and collect it, but then takes a picture of it, and then it takes which type of picture it is, and give us some pictures for us. So just trying to use that technology to sort of get things.
Do you think you've got rid of some of the pictures?
Sorry?
Do you think you've got rid of some of the pictures? We just said the problems have been years, as you know.
Yes, it goes in peaks and troughs depending on midge traps and ponds are showing them pitches this year that we had last year. But in terms of the pitches that have come up and then moved across the community, the number of pitch complex communities now. Hence why we're doing a lot of getting the dredge out. The other thing that we've been doing and working on as well is we have a number of chemical suppliers coming on for us products which they can produce their own farms. So we've got scale of that from the desktop exercise, small size to great big size, say we're taking 1,000 litres of hot water and with the chemicals in it. And done 3 runs of that, fortnight each. I hope we should have that information for the next before Christmas to see if any products will opportunities to produce something. question that was asked before about with Luke, I'll let me get the clarification back with the chief secretary. One thing that we are doing is hydrogen sulfide is the boat. We have engaged Jacobs to come through a full sweep all the way through the treatment plant. So next week, a couple of days, got a couple of people from Jacobs, from another way from Australia, will be taking samples, treatment, simply just run a little bottle, and they're going to test it to try and work out where the sulfur is in these chemical stages all the way through the treatment plant. What I've identified previously is that the primary tanks has been a bit of a source of odour. I'm just trying to understand how much of how much of is that potentially going to be when the activated sludge plant is going to be gone. So with the plant in the way it is at the moment, it's a good opportunity to get consultants in and to go through that testing. Also been doing the usual bigger tasks. So there's a whole load of tasks that we do daily, weekly, monthly. Some of these are the tasks which we do on a 1, 2 or 3 year basis. So one of the things we've been doing is we've got grit tanks. So water obviously the sewers, it picks up little stones and sand. We don't want those getting into our digesters and breaking our pumps. So we have a grit tank. You have to go in a period to clean them out. So that tank there is about 7 metres deep, about 10 metres wide. So take it offline, drop it all the way out, and we have to go in and clean up all that, make sure it's fit again. So we've got 3 of those tanks, just taking one to go on top of it. And so all the black stuff, if it's the sand and grit that we're taking out for effective downstream processes, and all the yellow blobs, it's all that's all waste, also sticks together and starts to mold. Primary tanks, again, we've increased the rate at which we do maintenance on these. So we have 7 tanks, and we periodically take them offline, drain them out, clean them, get in and do a bit of TLC work on them. So as you can see here, and here's 2 of the tanks that are full. Here's 2 that are empty, and that's my job. To do those repairs. Sludge dryer. So with the sludge that comes out of digesters, we popped in 40 tons on, about 10 tons of solid off. And every now and again, you have to go in and do the nice job of going in and giving it a clean out on the inside. So that all compromise space entry. Also doing all that, we're also running around making general health and safety improvements on site. I'm sure my contracts sources will be quite happy to decide health and safety improvements we can make. So we're doing additional health and safety signage, a bit more fencing improvements, handrails and ratings, and also the day-to-day business. So we deal with this certification, number of chemicals on site, number of machinery on site, that stuff, just to make sure just try and make sure all the sites now stay as safe as possible. Environmental monitoring as well. So we have limits on the quality of the air we discharge out. Continue to comply with the quality that's needed for discharge out. So make you aware that the air when goes from the CDTB into the ponds out of the leakage during between 1 to see. Every few months we have to send our staff out to go out and just test and see if they use this to make sure it's on the environment. So in summary, from myself, from an operational point of view, the staff will continue to monitor it and to take activities as much as possible to mitigate edges. But the site is operating at maximum capacity. So to these guys, I'm just trying to.
Thanks. I'm just curious, if residents are noticing the bad odor stage, is it helpful if they continue to report it?
Snaps and off is the best way because it detects where you are, what time it is, it's automatically running the time as well. So if that comes in, and then you shoot all the way back to the 3rd slide from me.
Just say stop.
Oh, that's it. then we can just link it back to that to confirm with the business owner.
And so this is quite a number of responsible, like, because not everyone can.
But yeah, you can just link the
E-care or council, like, who should people report their complaints
if
to?
it goes to weekend, it comes to us, or if it comes to us, we don't get the same way. So if you send it to weekend, they'll come through, obviously with them. If you send it through to us, we also log it, we also share that information straight between as well. So it doesn't make a difference as we go on the system.
So just to clarify, you can bring them to complain about Moda
Yes,
to either the ECAM or the city council.
yes.
And
We as, I should say, council receive.
that's helpful when people do that when it's bad, so that you can.
Yeah, it does that and it confirms it with this in case there's anything missed on the website. So when we do get complaints, we can just check if there's anything that's changed that we haven't noticed. So there's some stuff where it's planned to turn and it's not often do about it. Get the aerators landed as quickly as possible, keep going with flyers. So compliance is useful for us, it helps.
Given that the owner's been there for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks, is there any chance of getting those additional errors sooner rather than later?
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to everyone for answering the questions and for your excellent questions. So, you know, like I said, again, if you have any questions, please do. What else you welcome to me, as well as Yanni, if you want us to follow anything up, to sure that people will hang around here just for a little bit. If there are questions that you wanted to ask that you didn't want to ask in front of everybody, but yeah, please do make sure that you get in touch with us if there's something that you think needs addressing. But as far as I can tell, like there's a wide commitment from everybody who's talking here to be in close contact with you as community members to make sure that any concerns are addressed in a timely fashion and you know that you're in communication. So, well, that close the meeting now, and yeah, thanks for coming, and I'll hang around here for 10 minutes or so. Thanks everybody.